Hello, welcome to Strike a Match. I am Terry Finnegan Lynch. I am a certified health and life coach and very, very happy to be here on SM Enlightenment Radio. And thank you to the great Doc P for having such a mission of positivity and inviting the coaching model to be a part of that information about that resource of how we can change our lives in such a good way. The positivity and coaching connection began with the great Doc P and I in August. And if you listen to the station, you may hear my positive tips for a better life. And those are little ingredients of what the coaching model uses, my coaching model uses in the transformational coaching method. So welcome to the show. This is our third broadcast. It is Valentine's Day. Love to all and hope for a great year in 2021. I kind of was looking at last year and realized how much we were reacting to the world. It was a whole new footprint, a whole new way of having to deal with our lives, and there was no map for us. And we reacted quite a bit. And, we learned a lot about ourselves and our families in doing that. Now I feel that 2021 is an opportunity to create, not react, to look at what did I learn about myself in 2021 and my family, and what do I want? So I'm really excited about what is lying ahead for us in 2021. If you can step into creating the life that you want and deserve. And because it's Valentine's Day, we're going to spend this podcast talking about relationships and love. The coaching model endorses the big five: relationships, health, career, money, and that which is greater. And, how we do one thing is how we do everything. And so what the beautiful thing about coaching is that if you begin to shift in one part of your life, it will affect the others. But it's Valentine's Day. I have homemade hearts behind me to celebrate that, we have these special days during the year to, bring attention to things. And so, as you know, Strike a Match is about taking action, strike, right? And the match is about finding a coach that is right for you. And, I have a coaching community, and everyone in it has a different intention and purpose as a coach. And my guest today, Amy Aurore, is a wedding officiant and a pre-marriage guidance coach. So what a perfect person to join us on Valentine's Day. And she's a dear friend. We went to school together. We were accountability partners in our curriculum. We spent sessions upon sessions together in the coaching model. And, we've each created a specialty of care that really fits who we are and what we want in our lives. So I'm a family life coach. She's a marriage coach, and together we're going to celebrate Valentine's Day with you. So we look forward to that after the break. So Strike a Match. It's about taking action. The reason that we have what we have in our lives is because we do the same thing as we did yesterday. And so we get the same thing. And, it's okay that we have that experience, except that if we want something different, we really need to do something different. The old adage in AA is, doing the same thing, expecting different results is insanity. Well, I'm not insane if what I'm doing is the same thing, if I'm okay with the results. And there was a time when that wasn't true. I really needed to change everything up. And fortunately I did. And that brought me to the prosperity that I feel today and I'm able to share as a coach. So the strike, what does that mean? Well, without making that contact, without that action, we don't get a flicker. We cannot, light the campfire. We cannot light the oil lamp. We cannot light the wood stove. We cannot create light without taking a strike. And that flicker, in the Bible, they say a mustard seed, but the beauty of just one small inspiration is that it can grow. And so that's why I created this program called Strike a Match, because I really want to invite you to just take a small action. And by listening to this broadcast, there you are. You're doing it. So welcome and thank you for being here. What I love about coaching is that we are all different, and yet we are very much the same. And I can tell you how wonderful coaching is, but I also feel it's important to kind of look at resources that are out there that will speak to the strength that coaching and the diversity that coaching brings to the wellness and positivity of our lives. So, I went online and I Googled, and I found an article on HuffPost, and it was 10 fun facts about coaching. And Tom Casano is the contributor of this article. He has a website that links coaches and clients. And today, the fun fact that I'd like to emphasize is very, very special. So what Tom reports is this wonderful fun fact. My most honest friend is my coach. And that is a very significant richness to the coaching client relationships. And happy Valentine's Day, because we want to introduce coaches to you that will feel like a best friend. What Tom says in his article is that life coaches build deep connections with their clients that are not unlike friendships. And these friendships are created to help you advance and succeed in your career and personal affairs. Now, these friends won't be afraid to tell you like it is. We're willing to be honest with you because we can see insight that will help you move further along in your quest for success. And when you listen to our options and ideas, it's well worthwhile. So I just read that and I kind of adjusted the words in it to be more specific to you. But what does that mean? What is Tom talking about? We always talk about rapport in coaching, and especially in this show, because the experience of change that coaching encourages is rooted in how well you feel safe and loved. So we understand in coaching that there is this ecology, love, safety, and belonging, that needs to be anchored and safe in the relationship for you as a client to risk letting go of the old stuff that's not serving you anymore. So how do you do that? Well, the friendship piece that and ends up emerging from the coach-client experience is real. It's just that. It is a friendship. It's not a clinical experience in any way. So the beauty of the safety of being in a coach-client relationship is that we can be honest with you. We can create the truth in a way that when we deliver it, you can hear it, right? So we're not too close that we're in the middle of the situation like a parent or a best friend or a spouse might be. We're far enough away to bring value and awareness to what we're asking. So having a life coach is a valuable tool. It's one of the best resources anyone can have on your path for success. We're not there just to tell you what to do. We're there to help you find your real self. We show you that your life can be seen from a new perspective. And then you can see your own talents, potential, and get a clear look at what you really want. It's with our help that you can discover from the deepest part of yourself what your true life purpose is. And this relationship is full of rewards and one you can count on to help you through many life's unpredictable changes. So, I've been coaching for a few years, and I have this one very, very special client, Hillary, and she says, I hear you. I'll be in a challenging situation and I'll hear you echoing the lessons that if I put into practice, I'll have the outcome that I want. And that's the beauty of the trust that happens between that friendship of coach and client. And so I can tell you about it. It happens in all my relationships. Nearly all of my clients are still in my inner circle because I'm just not going to go away. If you need me, I'm here. If it's been 2 years, call. So that for me is the added value of what coaching, how it distinguishes itself from other forms of help. So I like being able to ascertain that this isn't just me saying that this is what's going on. It's out there in Google land for you to verify on your own. And the best way to experience this yourself is to have a conversation with a coach. Most coaches would, I hope, offer a time where you can connect together and see is that the rapport of real in between the two of us, because not everybody belongs together, just like friends and relationships. We get along with a certain kind of person, and we learn from certain types of people. So we want to match that with what we want and who we want to work with to do that. So that's our fun fact for today. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you'll reference it. And if you have any questions about it, you can write me at terryfinneganlynch@gmail.com and we can chat about it. But the next thing that we're going to do is relate all of this to one of my positive tips. So on SM Enlightenment Radio, there are these 30-second positive tips for a better life. And this one is really beautiful. And it's quite an awakening to how we behave and why we do things. So it goes like this. Every act is either an act of love or cry for love. Always.
The tips for a better life with Terry Finnegan Lynch.
Every act is either an act of love or a cry for love. No exceptions. An act of love is the ability to give. A cry for love is the necessity to receive. So pay attention to where you're coming from and give or receive as you need. I'm a health and life coach, and these are Terry's positive tips for a better life.
WSME.
So what does that mean? Well, what it means is that we are both. Each behavior, each experience that we have, we're coming from either a place of giving or a place of needing something, an unmet need. So when we're in a relationship and we might be struggling, we can ask ourselves, am I in my place of being an act of love, or am I in a place of crying for love? Because both are about love. This is really the truth of everything that motivates us. Everything that we are originates in love. So you can feel it. I can feel myself shift within a couple of hours of whether I'm in a place of giving love or needing love. I can feel myself getting irritated and upset. And it's because I have an unmet need. And now I'm not behaving in the way that is smooth and calm and positive, but it doesn't make it wrong. This is what's really important to understand is both are okay. Both are information about where I am and what's going on in my life. So the awareness is that we get to kind of feel, where am I coming from? And if I'm coming from a cry for love, what do I need? And then where can I get that? What's the support that would provide that for me? So I want to just give an example of a client who called me this morning. This wasn't a scheduled session. She texted and said, "Can I talk with you?" I said, "Yes." She said, "No." I said, "Yes." And she brought to me a situation where she felt quite distressed. What was going on for her was that a person in her family was crying for love. And it alarmed her. It made her uncomfortable. And it felt frightening. But when we talked about the difference between, a few hours earlier when everyone in the family was in a place of acting in love, watching a movie together, laughing, sharing, and then something changed and the person that was affected most by this acted out, and that became the cry for love. It's still love. Even though it's hard and it's disturbing, it is still love. And so her response to it was beautiful. She didn't judge and she didn't expect something different. She was very, very patient. But the reason that she called me was to then process it a little bit further for herself, because this has history to it, and it has, a little bit of PTSD to it. And so we talked for, 47 minutes about the difference between an act of love, which was everyone was experiencing, and then an interruption in that, and the flip to a cry for love. And we talked about how to remedy that. We talked about the experience of it. And, an hour passed and she felt safe and understood herself. She understood this family member, and this paradigm of the difference between a cry for love and an act of love made sense. So this is what we do. We keep giving you information of these very clever tools that allow you to change your thinking, your perspective, and give yourself a new way of looking at the same thing. So I hope that's helpful, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you have any thoughts about it, again, please write to me, terryfinneganlynch@gmail.com. So we're going to segue next into a little bit of humor on Valentine's Day. Okay, ready? Now, I may have told you this last week, but when I was a young mother, my kids said to me all the time, "Mom, you're not funny enough. You don't have enough fun in your life." So in this show, I was like, okay, I'm going to be funny. So these are my own cartoons, so bear with me. But this one is for Valentine's Day. So here we go. What did the couple say after their relationship coach sent Cupid's arrow? Ouch! Not "I love you dearly. I'm so in love with you," but ouch. The purpose of the Comedy Corner is to bring levity to the fact that we may resist the opportunity of coaching. There's lots of rules that we have about, money and time, and, this isn't necessary. It's a luxury and all of that. And does it even work? Do I even want to be talking to a relationship coach? Why would I do that? It's just going to hurt, right? So the levity of my coaching Cartoon Corner is so that we can hold the space for the fact that you may not want to do this, and then also hold the space that you might be able to say yes. It's Valentine's Day. Today's the day that we pay attention to our hearts. And we think about the people we love and the people that we've lost and the people that we're angry with and the people that support us. We go through all of those relationships on Valentine's Day. And what I'm most excited about is that we have this beautiful woman in Amy who has dedicated her coaching career to couples, to not only celebrating the actual ceremony, which, as you know, because of COVID, you can't get a court date. You can't get a wedding hall. What she's doing right now is so important to the love connection that we're all experiencing and putting on pause. So I'm really looking forward to bringing her out here and sharing what she does and how she celebrates her coaching model. So we'll see you right after this break. Enjoy the commercials. They're very important to positivity. And thank you, SM Enlightenment Radio, for producing my podcast, Strike a Match. Welcome back. Thanks for hanging in with us today. I'm delighted to bring to you Amy Aurore, a lovely friend and a wedding officiant and premarital guidance coach. What I always do before I actually introduce you is talk about rapport and how important it is between a client and a coach. And, Amy and I were work partners in HCI, where we went to school for coaching. And that rapport was really evident because I ended up taking one of her courses, a moon course about women and their cycle and how we are designed in our organic relationship to the universe, and it was wonderful. So the importance of connecting is what this is all about. This is the match piece. So I, without further ado, can't wait to introduce my dear friend Amy. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
Welcome to the show, Strike a Match. I'm just so excited for us to hear about what you do and why you do it and how you got to be in this space. This is a beautiful surrounding that you have. And so I'm just going to let it land with you and have you share about you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Terry. It's so exciting to be here on Valentine's Day. Nonetheless, it's one of my favorite holidays. We're celebrating a little bit over here. I don't have the decorations that you do, but this will do. But thank you so much for having me. As you described, I am a premarital guidance coach, along with being a wedding officiant for non-traditional and unique couples. I came to this space via a few different routes, but life always ends up being a little synchronistic that way. I've actually been officiating weddings for 12 years now. So this actually been a long time. It started with a hobby and turned into a career at this point, and sort of by surprise. Life coaching, I stumbled into as a student and as a participant in life coaching at first, about 10 years ago. So just right around when I started officiating, I was in my late 20s and had what I now call my spiritual awakening. It was sort of that realization that I'm not the only one in the universe, and that there's a whole myriad of circumstances happening around me. And I I got a real awareness of that in a way that I hadn't before. And I knew that I was in over my head. So at that point, I kind of made a call out to a friend of mine just saying, I'm in a new place and I don't really know how to handle it. And within like 2 or 3 days, I had an invitation to become a part of this program that was run by life coaches, and found myself surrounded in a room by some of these women who have been training for years and years and years to do what they do so well. And within a 1.5-year program that I did with them, it was actually Iyanla Van Zant. If anybody here listening watches the Oprah channel, she has her own life coaching television show on the Oprah channel called Iyanla Fix My Life. But thanks to her and her team of coaches, I've radically changed my life. I took ownership of what I was doing every day. Instead of just autopilot Groundhog Day, I learned about authenticity and integrity and intention, and taking all of what was in me and actually creating it out in the world via a series of doable action steps that they taught me to implement. And over the years of implementing that in my own life, I came to the point where I realized I wanted to help other women do the same thing. And when I went to go train as a coach with you, Terry, I got really into my own, because as you train for anything, you're learning yourself. You can only take, I think I heard your first or your guest a couple of weeks ago, Ingrid, say something like that. You can only take your clients as far as you're willing to go yourself. And my training with you took me to a place that I hadn't yet been. And I spent my first couple of years life coaching, working with women who had a similar journey as me. And it's been the past 1.5 years or so that I transitioned into what I'm doing now, which is premarital guidance work with couples, because I worked with the women first who were only one, potentially one half of the couple. Right. Realized that there was this need. So I'm here doing what I am doing now, but I'll get into that in a moment. But I just wanted to explain a little bit about how I got into coaching.
I feel that that's kind of the real anchor of coaches, is that we were students, clients first, right? Whether it's because we're in the curriculum directly, or that life brought us to that place organically. And when we sat in those halls for the big events at HCI, hundreds of women from all walks of life, but all very, and men, I don't mean to exclude the men. There were only a handful, though, when we started. Amy, thanks so much for this background of where everything started and, where you are now. And I love that we segue. I was a nurse, and my first coaching programs were to help nurse practitioners because I was in medicine. And then I was like, I don't belong here. I want something else, and so I end up with families, and it's the right fit for me, and so that's why I feel that we do evolve in this model of who am I and who do I help going forward, So Amy, I'm delighted to hear really what it's like to be someone who wants to get married and how to secure that, especially in 2021. It's such a great service that you're offering. So, walk us through it. What if I'm a couple and I'm looking for a wedding officiant? What do I do? How do I find you? What do you do for people?
Yeah, so a lot of my couples actually find me for premarital guidance work through working with me as a wedding officiant, right? That's the most natural way to become a client of a premarital guidance coach. However, some of us are working with couples that are outside of our own wedding officiant business. And I'm one of those people because I have the capability. Thanks, 2020 has been an interesting year, but one of the things that has really blossomed is this virtual way of connecting. And I do all of my coaching sessions through virtual means. So I work with couples actually all over the country who are getting married in the upcoming year. If they want to work with me, they would you check out my program on my website, which is just my name, www.amy, A-M-Y, F as in freedom, Aurore, AURORE.com. But what we do once we get there, so deciding you want to work with me is one thing, but the actual work is something else entirely.
Yeah.
What we do is when we first start getting connected, and you've definitely bought into the system, is that I send this beautiful workbook that is broken down into 3 different sections. There's a pre-session part of the work where you're really getting introspective with yourself. You're taking the time to figure out, what are your intentions for this marriage? What is your expectation for what it's going to be like? I really want you to identify within yourself what it is that you're seeking to create in this relationship with your beloved. That's the first and foremost thing before we even get on the video call together. And then once we get on the call together, we actually go through the results of a questionnaire that I also have you take, that's with this world-renowned marriage and family therapist group that has put together this wonderful assessment tool called SYMBIS, Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts. And you just go on the computer and you type in all this information about yourself, and they spit out this beautiful 26-page report that is a compilation of both you and your partner's answers that pops up sort of some of the hot button things that we definitely should look at. So you're not going to sit with me and go over every theory of marital success and all the generic things that may or may not be helpful to you. I'm going to hand pick the top 5 or 6 things that I see in that report that are really going to be open doors for our conversation together. My biggest thing, and you've sort of touched on this already in this show, is that marriage is a conversation, hopefully a lifelong one. And every morning when you wake up, you're continuing the conversation that you put to bed the night before. And what my job is to hold space, safe space for you and your beloved to begin that conversation together. And because it's such a safe space, and because I have that little edge that's a little bit more than just a friend or another family member, I can bring up some of these hot button topics. I can bring up some of these twisty things that might trip you up in your marriage, and we can put it all out on the table and talk about it as adults, but really in this super connecting, safe way. I don't know how to describe the rapport that exists between my clients and I when I work with them, but it just feels like a conversation. And by the time we're done, they're so surprised that we talked about some of these hot button things.
Right. So that's what when I'm hearing you, and this is interesting because I am like now listening to you from a client perspective, right? Not a coach, because I haven't really heard specifically about what you do. So what I'm hearing is that the both partners, because of the answers that they create individually, have a predictability of challenges that, if they're not really talked about, are going to show up anyway. Right? So what you are finding is the specific broken wheel that we wouldn't know otherwise, and it sounds both like scary, like I don't want to know that, and then it is also creating the confidence that yes, you do want to know that, and right.
So these conversations have to happen anyway, or I suppose they don't have to, but if you want a successful, like healthy, fun marriage, then you're going to have to move through some of these more tricky talks. And it is scary. And that's what a lot of people, who don't do this put up. They're like, I don't want to go, in front of somebody and talk. But money, the top ones, right, are money, fight type, like fighting style. We all have a little bit of a different way that we fight. Sex life and expectations around that. Your family and the upbringing baggage that you bring into your own new family. how you talk with each other, your communication styles. Everybody's a little bit different, and what your expectations are for the household tasks and for the everything else that you're now shared with when you get married. A lot of these things, we come into our relationships with this like binder of expectations based
Yeah.
upon our own upbringing,
Yeah.
and we have very little room for the binder of expectations that our partner is bringing in.
Right.
And if we can open those binders together in a safe place with a person who's really intent upon creating success for the two of you, then we can move through that stuff in a way that creates emotional intelligence. It's not just about conversation and communication. A lot of marriage therapists will be like, well, you just got to talk about it. Just talk about it. And if you talk about it, it'll be okay. Okay, well, there's talking about it, but there's also like putting yourself in your partner's shoes and sort of having a level of emotional intelligence around who they are and why they're being the way they're being.
Well, it's the perception. I remember once filling out a dating site thing, and I said, your baggage has to fit in the overhead compartment, because I was like, and the date would show up with a truckload, and I'll be like, didn't you read my thing? And it was like, well, in my perception, I only have a suitcase. And I looked and I was like, no, you have a U-Haul, And so, and that was like one date, right? So I wonder, how like fun it would be to have a place where you're like, okay, you're both being held accountable to the same quality of investment here, right? And I'm the neutral party, but I am all about love as the coach, as the guidance. So I have this training, and we know that you have the heart, the love, the commitment. And so let's look at the potholes that are on the road. And it's so funny because when we do anything like, okay, let's say we're going to buy a house, right? What do? We get the inspector, and we're walking the property, and we're talking to the neighbors, and then we go and we get married, and we're like, okay, let's go. And we don't really do that research into what really makes a solid relationship. So that's pretty cool. So tell me, what's the length of time that people spend with you in this process?
So this is one of my favorite parts about it is I am not a long-term coach. Actually, the work that we do together is sort of compressed.
Yes.
I mean, you can take the length of time you want to work through the workbook. And as I said, you get a workbook that's divided into 3 parts. So there's pre-work, there's a place for you to take notes during our session together, which is 1 session, and it takes about 4 hours, which sounds like a tremendously long amount of time, but I think of it as an all-day sort of one and done. And I encourage my couples to make a day of it, to make breakfast and enjoy each other beforehand, and then to create a really nice, wonderful space afterwards where they can do dinner together and work on their homework together afterwards. And I really encourage them to take a whole day to themselves, because that's going to be one of the things that will help them in the future of their marriage together, is to create a day once in a while where you're really just focused on personal growth and interrelational growth together. And
Amy, this is genius. Like, because I have a longer model, mine is 3 months, and it's once a week, and it's 2 hours, and we build upon everything. But here it's like, okay, we're just going to open the shutters. We're going to throw back the sash. We're going to find out what it is. We're going to work on it. And then here's your day. I didn't know that. I think that's really so less intimidating.
That's what I wanted to create, because I don't want to be gendered about this, but a lot of the guys, a lot of my husbands to be are a little intimidated by the idea of coaching, and I can usually convince the fearful to spend 1 day with me. I have a good personality, and I often do a free consult with my couples prior to actually them deciding that I'm a good fit. Rapport
Right,
means
right.
a lot, especially in this
Oh,
premarital
yeah.
stage, because you are letting me into your underwear drawer, so to speak. We are talking about very intimate and at times personal things. So rapport is extremely important. And yeah, so I've learned, that the one deep dive session is more than enough to really get that conversation started. They go home with the report, which, like I said, is 20-page personalized report just about them. And a bunch of exercises that they can go through that report with together, and I encourage an ongoing Sunday. I like to do all my meetings on Sundays. I think of it as a day of connecting. And, I encourage them to take this next several Sundays after that to really work through some of the homework together.
Well, that's wonderful. Such fun. And that's why I'm doing this Strike a Match, is just to really show how different coaching strategies, models, purpose can all be. And I learned, because, you and I don't talk every day. You've been building this business and I've been building mine. And here we are together sharing what that means to our audience. So if you are a romantic couple that are looking to tie the knot and you'd like to celebrate that experience with Amy and her practice as a wedding officiant and how do you pronounce it? What do you say?
Premarital guidance coach.
Premarital. Okay. I thought that was another word. I'm terrible with vocabulary. So that's terrific. I'm so excited. So how do we get in touch with you, Amy?
So like I said, my website is amyfaurore.com. I kept it simple with my name. I actually created my own name quite a few years ago now, so I'm really proud of it. But so that's AMY, F as in freedom, AURORE.com. I'm also on Facebook or Instagram. My handles there are afa.weddings. And I do, like I said, I do custom wedding ceremonies in the state of Ohio anyway. I will travel, but for now, during this year anyway, I'm sort of sticking around here.
Wonderful.
And I do premarital guidance with couples all over the place because the channels are open now.
It's wonderful. I'm so delighted. Thank you so much. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Please, anyone that thought that this was something that you're interested in, please reach out to Amy and have that conversation to see if it's a good fit for you and your loved one. We're really excited about that. So thanks, Amy.
Thank you, Terry. It was so awesome to have this conversation with you.
I loved it. Thank you. So happy Valentine's Day, everyone. This was a really special broadcast, I feel, for Valentine's Day and the love connection and having a successful marriage and knowing about what those hot items are. And so I hope that this is a service that you'd enjoy and take advantage of. So we will be back next time. I want to send a special thank you to SM Enlightenment Radio for allowing me to have this particular podcast that is about positivity and the connection that it makes with coaching. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you so much.